Why has the rate of depression increased so drastically in recent years? The rate of diagnosis and awareness. Same with autism. I grew up in the 80s. My brother was different yet fiercely intelligent. These days there is an explanation. But back then everyone just thought he was shy and a bit of a prick. Plus there is loads of money to be made in the antidepressants business. Our diet, the state of the world, lack of vitamin D. COVID probably didn't help. Also I believe social media plays a big part. Because on social media people often post their best lives, which for some people can feel like they are underachieving. I talked to a friend who told me all the girls she sees on social media make her insecure. I think we all can admit we have seen someone post something on our socials that made us upset. Your friends who went somewhere without you. Or maybe your ex you just broke up with and who moved on, things like that. In my opinion, the Western world has lost its sense of community. My grandparents, in their generational prime, grew up in an America where everyone knew all of their neighbors. The teachers that taught their children. And people had large traditional families with many children. Nowadays, people are locked up in their homes, have no manners, spend all day on the internet, and do not interact with those around them. This antisocial behavior, I feel, has led to more isolation, and by virtue of that, higher rates of depression and feelings of meaninglessness. Social isolation due to most of our relationships are now predominantly digital. Lack of meaningful work and the alienation of labor. Poor diets, current events, and probably lack of physical activity. As we continue to integrate with technology, I can only assume we will become increasingly more isolated from one another. Everything being fucking expensive. COVID is a big answer to that, but the absurd standards that social media presses on literally everyone is more prevalent than ever. Basically, if you're not flawless, you're worthless by social media standards, but there is not a single person on this planet that is flawless, therefore you're worthless under the same ruling. Unchecked hyper-capitalism and income inequality. Social media makes everyone more depressed because everyone fakes these great lives. So lonely depressed assholes think something is wrong with them and everyone else is happy on Facebook. In my hometown, smartphones and COVID don't help. Social media, bad nutrition, lack of exercise, reduced social interaction due pandemics and/or remote work. COVID's a given, but life's way too difficult. More of a reason to feel hopeless. We had a pandemic, bad nutrition and lack of socialization. The constant comparisons on social media can't help. Lack of sun exposure is probably a big part of it. People all vampire ass these days. Either caked in SPF a billion or never being outside in the first place. There has been such an extreme overcorrection in the name of preventing skin cancer that people are dying decades earlier from suicide, obesity, and substance abuse before they ever get a suspicious mole. Sun exposure regulates your brain's serotonin production. A vitamin D pill doesn't make up for lack of sun. Just go outside for a short time without sunscreen. Even if you're a ginger, go stand outside for 10 minutes without sunscreen once a day. Then you can go back in and put sunscreen on, but those 10 minutes will make a huge difference for your mental health. Note: I'm not saying sun exposure cures depression, nor that lack of sun exposure is the main cause of depression. Sun exposure isn't a miracle cure, but it makes a noticeable difference. If your depression is an 8 out of 10, Getting sunlight can bring it down to a 6. You still can and should take medication and go to therapy and care for all other aspects of your life. COVID didn't help much, and what makes it even worse is that when you try to find help, psychiatrist and therapist all say they're booked and can't get an appointment, and you have to be on a waiting list for more than months, plus calling your insurance to find help, and when you call the facilities that's supposed to help someone, they will say either off of network or the facility insurance changed. It's horrible. I would speculate several factors. Awareness. Lack of diagnosis in the past. Lack of purpose. A lot of people work jobs they don't care about or don't have meaningful work projects to keep them busy or feeling a sense of fulfillment. Social media. Comparing one's life to how others present their lives. Not making a distinction between real life and what others present. Overdiagnosed. Over-medicated now in the present. Mental health is serious, and who am I to say who should and shouldn't be medicated? But sometimes we are meant to feel sadness and pain. I believe it's part of the human condition. If we're constantly numbing the symptoms but not addressing the roots of our problems, will we ever get better or be happy? Because nobody has really looked anyone in the face and told them, if you keep talking down and thinking down, then you're going to speak your image into existence. There was a day that my own mom was in my face screaming at me at the top of her lungs, telling me that if I want to paint an image of myself as a piece of shit lowlife, then that's what I'll be, and that's what she will think of me. You speak and think your thoughts into existence, and that's what you become. Some of the best therapy comes from someone actually taking the reins and not listening only because they make 6 figures.